What is going on, Birdland? Stephen Heckman here for the Final Strike podcast, brought to you by the Baltimore Battery. It's been quite some time since we last have come on. Baltimore Orioles unfortunately finished the season with a losing record, winning 75 games, losing 87. Now, I do remember at one point I did say we would be lucky if we won 75 games at the rate we were playing. Orioles proved me, I don't know, kind of right or wrong on that one, because we did win 75 games. Did not win any more, but after the way we played for the first part of the season, winning 75 games honestly has to be a small victory. We had a rough season, though, overall. We had a run differential of minus 111. We were 39-42 at home, 33-48 on the road, 44-60 against teams who were better than 500. So all around, it was just a rough season. We had 29 players go on the IL for a total of 34 different stints. Some players multiple times. And unfortunately, it tested our depth, our moxie, and it really affected our starting rotation the most. We learned a lot. Found some gems in the rough towards the end of the season. Samuel Basello obviously showed he is capable of handling big league pitching with the bat as well as behind the plate. Defensively, still some things to work on, but overall pretty damn good. Dylan Beavers, definitely everything as advertised. Dude can hit. Dude plays pretty good defense. So nothing wrong there. But the surprise of the three we brought up, though, Jermiah Jackson. Guy can definitely hit the ball. And to play outfield in the majors after not playing outfield but a handful of games in the minors, and it had actually been quite some time since he had played outfield, did a pretty damn good job doing it. So we found a diamond in the rough there, and definitely going to make for some interesting time next season, because Jermiah Jackson proved he is capable of being a starting caliber outfielder, especially with his bat. His defense improved drastically every single game he played. But overall, the big surprise of the season was when we fired Brandon Hyde. We knew coming in to the offseason that being without a manager, we were going to be looking to add a manager. Some people speculated that Tony Manzolino would lose the interim title and become the full-time manager. I personally was not a fan of that happening. Nothing against Tony, because he did a tremendous job given the circumstances with the hand he was dealt. And I just felt we needed a new skipper and a new ship. The ship we were on just was not going to cut it the way we were going anymore. We needed a new direction. We needed to rebuild the dock, rebuild the ship, and set out. And when I say that, I'm not saying we need to get rid of players and start all over. I'm saying we have the players in place. We just need somebody to steer the ship and take our players in the right direction. And that came during Sunday Night Football, of all times. The Orioles announced that they have hired Craig Albernez to lead the Orioles for the 2026 season and hopefully beyond. Don't know how many people are familiar with that name, but Mr. Albernez was the bench coach and associate manager for the Cleveland Guardians for the past two seasons, 2024-2025 season. They finished first in the Central Division both years. Postseason play both times. In 2024, they went to the ALCS. They were disposed of in the divisional round this past season. So he was there as an associate manager and bench coach, dealt with a lot of young players. Before that, he was with the San Francisco Giants, where he was the bullpen and catching coach. Like the concept of catching coach, for the simple fact that you have Adley Rutschman and Samuel Basello, two very talented young catchers. And I know a lot of people are thinking now that Samuel Basello signed his 8-year, $64 million contract, that it's probably a sign that Adley Rutschman is probably on the way out the door. I honestly don't think so, because if anything I've learned watching the Orioles over the last few years, having two quality catchers is so much better than having just one quality catcher and an okay backstop. Having two quality catchers is so important, especially two that can work together, two that know the pitching staff the way that these two do, is highly important. Adley Rutschman is a very strong defensive-minded catcher. He does have some offensive promise there, but he does need some assistance in harnessing that again. I think he's kind of lost focus on the offensive side, putting so much pressure on himself to succeed defensively and get up to date with all the new pitching that's coming through over the last couple of years. It's taken a hit on his offensive side of his catching. And we've seen it, since the second half of the 2024 season through last year. Granted, he did deal with oblique injuries on both sides. It did affect him. Samuel Basello, very strong offensively, pretty decent defensively, does have some defensive deficiencies that need to work on. And I know a lot of people are like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Big guy, big fella, strong arm. His movement behind the plate, though, and protecting the ball, stopping wild pitches, and pass balls. That's where it's going to be the big thing. His framing's not that good, but if we're going to be moving towards automated strike system or the automated umpire, we're probably going to have to not worry about that anyway. But definitely blocking pitches is going to be an integral part of what we need him to do. And when you have a coach or manager who is used to coaching and playing catcher, Albernez was a former catcher for the Tampa Bay Rays, played 6 years in the minors, 5 years in AAA baseball. Threw out 44% of his would-be base stealers. So he does have some defensive prowess as a catcher. I think it's a benefit to both of them. I still think that we might extend Adley. We still have him for at least 2 more years right now. But getting Adley for another 5 years on top of Basello for 8 years, I think would be a strong benefit, especially since Basello is going to be playing some first base at the time as well. So you're going to have, you rotate the both of them through. You are doing nothing but helping yourself in the process of keeping fresh catchers, strong catchers that are going to help the team. When you go back and look at what James McCann and Adley Rutschman were able to do with the team, you had a strong catching duo that was very reliable and very helpful to the team, especially when the pitchers know that you're not getting a drop-off in defensive ability behind the plate or the ability for the catcher to call or focus on a game. And I know you don't have many catchers calling a game anymore. It's pretty much the pitcher. But Adley Rutschman is one of those catchers who dives into the game and goes in depth, does a lot of homework, will sit down with the pitcher before the game and go over all the things that are crucial to how to approach a batter in certain situations. So the pitcher might be deciding what pitch is going to be thrown, but prior to the game, the preparation that goes into it, Adley Rutschman is fully involved in that, fully involved in sitting down with the pitcher and going over everything with the pitcher on how to face the batter, what pitches are their weaknesses, and stuff like that. So that is a strong aspect of having Craig Albernez as a manager. The other thing is Craig Albernez is a former catcher, and most former catchers have been very successful as managers in the majors. So interesting to see in that aspect how that translates into becoming the Orioles skipper. He was a very popular pick for manager in 2024. The Chicago White Sox wanted him. The Miami Marlins wanted him. Apparently, he was gaining traction for a few of the positions that were open this year as well. So the Orioles were pretty quick to figure out what they wanted, and apparently he interviewed pretty well. He's 42 years old. Good thing about his age is he's far enough away from the age that he's not too close to being buddy-buddy with the players, but close enough to the age that they can relate to what it's like to be a player in certain aspects of the game. He's also far enough away from them that being a manager and coach, he's been with postseason teams, so he knows how to prep, how to help players prepare for that, what it's like, the experience, how to get ready for that. also with bullpen experience and bullpen management experience, he will help with the bullpen and managing it properly. When he was with the San Francisco Giants in 2021, when they won 107 games, their bullpen was one of the top bullpens in all of baseball. And in 2023, with a lot of turnover that they went through from 2021 to 2023, they had a pretty good bullpen in the second half of the season, but towards the end, they started to falter and lay off. A lot of that went into the fact that you had the bullpen piggybacking starters and a lot of bullpen games, which actually wore down the bullpen. So he knows the do's and don'ts, the ins and outs of how to properly manage a bullpen, which is a plus. That was one of the big things over the last few years with Brandon Hyde. Our bullpen got overworked pretty quickly last year. And 2 years ago, the same thing. It got overworked pretty quickly. And when we needed them the most, our bullpen was in no shape to help us out. So that's going to be a big thing, especially with the fact that we need to sign a closer this year. I think there's ways around that. I'm looking at Tyler Wells. I would really love to see Tyler Wells step into a closer role this year. I think it'd be better for the team, better for him and his long-term future and health. You figure Tyler Wells, when we first got him as a Rule 5 draft pick, was coming off Tommy John surgery. And then in 2024, once again, went through another Tommy John procedure. It was not Tommy John surgery, but is another Tommy John procedure. So you figure over a 3-year period, 4-year period, he had 2 procedures on the same arm for Tommy John, maybe putting him in a role that's not going to be as demanding going 5, 6, 7 innings every 5 days, but, able to pitch an inning, 2, 3 days in a row with the power he's got in his pitches and the arsenal he has, plus former bullpen experience. He has the ability to actually save us some money on that aspect of the game and focus more on rebuilding the bullpen altogether instead of going and dropping 20, 25 million on a closer. Not saying we have to go that route, just an idea I feel would be better suited for the Orioles. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially with the logjam we're going to have with pitchers, because if everything goes according to plan, knock on wood, that's the key, if it goes according to plan. Our rotation looks pretty set up with Bradish, Rogers, Rodriguez, Kramer, and then probably Povich, would be my guess. You could put Wells there. I like I said, I would prefer to see Wells hopefully in a bullpen position towards the back end. That's barring we don't go out and sign another starter or another arm also. So, there Suarez, we also have Chase McDermott, who probably is more suited for the bullpen. He did better in the bullpen than he did as a starter. He's got to get those walks under control. That's his biggest problem. The same thing with Povich. The walks have to come down. You have Brandon Young. We have other pitchers in the minors who are capable of coming up and possibly working in for that 5th starter position. Kramer is Kramer. I love Dean Kramer. Guys pitched some very strong games for us, big games, but in the sense he's also folded under games he shouldn't have or folded under big games. So, he is what he is. He's going to go out there, though, every 5 days, and he's going to pitch you usually 5, 6 innings, and he can throw 100 pitches, and he can work you 6 innings. The guy's going to give up 3, 4 runs pretty much every outing, but he will pitch his guts out for you every single time. And he's a 4 or 5 starter. That's it. He's going to probably be about a 500 pitcher every time. 12 and 10, 11 and 11, 13 and 11, something like that. But he's going to keep you in a ball game. He's going to give you a chance to win a majority of the time. And you can't ask for anything better from your 4th and 5th starter. Our top 3 starters between Bradish, Rogers, and Rodriguez, barring Rodriguez is healthy, which he should be able to have his first normal offseason for the first time as a pro, is very big. Hopefully Rodriguez is ready to go. We know what he's capable of. The Orioles have actually won 42 of his starts that he started. So, it'd be nice to actually get him healthy and going because the promise and potential is there. He's still young enough that he has not hit his prime. So a lot to look forward to. But welcome to the club, Craig Albernez. I'm interested to see how this goes. Getting him where we've got him now, we can actually go into an offseason prepared to actually focus on a lot. You're going to have the players you're going to offer arbitration to. You're going to have your qualifying offers to the players that you want to keep around. Then you're going to go to your winter meetings and, free agency, of course, the hot stove and all that. Then February is going to be here in no time. I mean, you're talking about just over 100 days before pitchers and catchers report. So it's going to be a fun, interesting time this offseason. We're going to be on it around the clock. You're probably going to see a lot more of us than you have the last few weeks. Just very difficult time going on in the last few weeks towards the end of the season. It was a frustrating year. And that's all I can say is a frustrating year, but it's done and over with. It's time to look ahead to 2026 and get back on the right track. Hopefully we had some lessons learned. I think we had to go through something like this in order to experience what we need to look forward to. That the 2023 and 24 season was what we're capable of, but we needed to take a step back and see where we need to get to get back to that. So, yeah, it was hard. It was a difficult year. It was frustrating for a lot of fans in Birdland because we know what we're capable of, but I think it was a good thing that it happened because maybe it showed the players that, you're not just going to walk in and win a game just because you have talent. And, players don't like to lose. And that's the one thing I saw a lot of pride in that, Gunnar Henderson, Jordan Westberg, were very outspoken in that. They did not like losing any bit. And they were used to winning at each level and coming up through the bigs, into the bigs. And they won together as a team. This brotherhood's going to get a little bit tighter. And now we can look forward to them sticking together. And I'm hoping we can get some more extensions done where we can keep these players in Baltimore a bit longer. So we're going to be on the lookout for that. We're going to be on the lookout to see what happens next. Fun World Series game last night, 18 innings. Dodgers win 6-5. They're up 2-1. So, we got maximum of 4 games left, minimum of 2 games left. We'll see what happens. I'm pulling for the Dodgers because I just can't root for the Blue Jays. Can't do it. AL East enemy, can't root for them. And I know a lot of people are rooting for the Blue Jays because the Dodgers, they're like the Yankees of the NL, but something about the Dodgers I just like better. I like Mookie Betts, But anyway, we're going to wrap it up here. I want to give a special shout out to the Baltimore Battery because without the Battery, we would not be here. So thanks for the Baltimore Battery, all its listeners and everything. Please make sure you like, share, and follow us wherever you're listening to this, whether it be on your podcast listening site, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Twitter that you follow the link through, or X, as ever you call it. Please make sure you like, share, and follow. We need to get our numbers up because we would like to be able to do a lot more by having live shows, have you included in those live shows. That way we can get the ball rolling. So please make sure you like, share, and follow. It is highly important that you do that. Plus, gets a little bit more exposure so we can get more of Birdland involved in this. Also, I want to thank Scooters for Rent, which is also in the middle of a name change, becoming Advanced Mobility Solution. All right. So if you see Scooters for Rent or Advanced Mobility Solution and you're in the Delaware, Maryland, Eastern Shore area and you're looking for mobility equipment, please make sure you give them a call, 302-280-6203. They are your first stop mobility solution for your mobility scooters, wheelchairs, beach wheelchairs, manual wheelchairs, and a lift chair recliners. Make sure you give them a call and tell them Stephen from the Final Strike sent you. And last but not least, I would like to thank our sponsor, Foxhole Premium Cold Brew Coffee. Foxhole Coffee. One of the great things I love about this stuff is the fact that proceeds from this actually goes towards helping military personnel who suffer from PTSD and service dogs that are trained to help those members who are suffering from PTSD. It helps towards their training and sheltering until they actually get their owner that they're going to help. So make sure you head over. If you're on YouTube, the link is in my bio. If you're following this on TikTok, the link is in my bio too. Just go to my bio, follow the solo link, and it should be the third link down. But make sure you head on over. It's done by Hero Company, so hero.com. You can go ahead and get yours today. If you like coffee like I do, this is 24 servings. 24 servings of coffee. The top acts like a teaspoon, so if you don't have your teaspoon with you, you can actually use this. But for about $1 a day. It's about $21, so for about $1 a day, you can get yourself a cup of coffee for most of the month. So until next time, Birdland, please keep the beer cold. Make sure you tell your friends to check us out. Make sure you follow the Baltimore Battery on X and on TikTok at the Be More Battery. You can find me on all social platforms under Instagram, TikTok, and X at SRJ Heckman. You can also find The Final Strike. Oh, and don't forget YouTube. You can also find The Final Strike on X at The Final Strike _. Until next time, peace out, and we'll talk to you then.